Coming up right in this session is Unleash Your Inner Hero, where psychology meets superpowers. So many times kids are going to develop these different phobias and restraining forces, things that are holding them back from experience that they had or perceived sometime in their life. Some people hold on to them as anchors that can go in through their entire life. So Dr. Hinton and Elizabeth have both pulled together some amazing content. And I'm just going to be quiet because I just want to hear it. Every time I see it, Sandra is a superhero fan. She makes superhero blankets. I think she covers me up with all of them. When I'm bad, she gives me the Hulk. When I'm good, she gives me Captain America. So it depends what my behavior is that day, whether I'm obedient or not. But I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Dr. Hinton and Elizabeth. Take it away.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you for inviting us and allowing us to be here today. We are really, really excited, Elizabeth and I, at presenting this material to you. So just a little bit about who we are. We are actually Exceptionally You Academy, the two of us together. And I'm Dr. Monica, and this is Elizabeth Viapondo Ellison. And we've had over combined 60 years in mental health and recovery. I have a tremendous love of superheroes and a love of psychology and helping people grow and exceed. So we're actually going to talk about two subjects today. So first is superhero confidence, and then we're going to roll into Elizabeth's Have You Met You? Just so you know that I grew up reading comic books. I was a young comic book reader. I'm not a Johnny come lately with the movies. And actually, I have to say comics saved my life. I grew up in an environment where there was a lot of discrimination, and I was the only girl on my street. And so, in order for me to survive, I had to read, and so I read lots of books, and then I came across comic books, and with the characters and their strength, it was sort of like a way for me to deal with my own trauma and my own fears and anxieties, and really delving into these stories and understanding how these characters have dealt with their own traumas and their own anxieties, and they've overcome. And now that I'm in the field of psychology, I sat here and figured out, how can I meld these two things that I love together into one experience, and there outgrew superhero confidence. And that's kind of where I sit today. Elizabeth, do you want to say a few words before we pull up the...
Actually, the beauty of this is I literally am putting up the Have You Met You into an app, because we know kids will access things more likely if they can do it from the computer in their hand.
Okay, yes. So just to open up again, Have You Met You is one part of Exceptionally You Academy, and Superhero Confidence is the other part. We offer innovative tools, empowered purpose, and authentic influences for families and their communities. All right, so Superhero Confidence Unleashed. This is the current course that is recently released on TGD. And towards the end, I'll show you the other courses. So, Ascendia. So, if any of you are familiar with Stan Lee, and he always says, Excelsior. Well, my word is Ascendia, which means rise higher, grow stronger, and push beyond your limits. So superheroes captivate us with their incredible powers, their courage, their unwavering sense of purpose. And we're going to explore ways of building strategies for your personal growth, because the superhero journey starts with self-discovery. And so we're going to unleash your superhero within. And this course right now, as it's designed, is good for your age 13 and up, maybe 12-year-old and up. Parents, you can sit and do this with your kids. Grandparents, sit and do this with your kids. I know people who are in their 70s and they've gone through this course and they were excited to build their own superhero. So this is for all ages, and I'm designing one for our younger people. So first off, where do we figure out who we are? So there are two models that I like, the ecological model and intersectionality. And so in the course, I'll explain what those two are. And this is how we develop our core self. So there's the nature and the nurture, but the nurture really has a major impact on who we are as people. And so when you think of the different levels of nurture, you have the child is in the middle, then the microsystem, and that's their family, the school, their peers, if they go to church, if they don't go to church, their daycare centers, and then the mesosystem are those systems all interacting with each other. Then the exosystem is then your extended neighborhoods, your school boards, those things that you may never have any contact with, but they govern and sort of control what happens to you in your world. And then there's the macro system, and that has to do with your culture, your ideology, whatever your parents are teaching you. And then the chrono system has to do with time and what's happening in the world at that particular time that you are alive. So I'm an 80s kid. So if you understand what that means, I'm a Gen Xer, so there you go. So I have certain ways of being in the world just because I was born during that, I was alive and functioning during that generation. Sometimes things get real heavy. You know, life comes at us in all different directions. There's some research called adverse childhood experiences, I'm sorry. And so through this chapter, we kind of explore some of those things. The struggle is real. And what we do is we take you through different characters that have actually dealt with different traumas and struggles. Here's one example. Storm, who is my favorite superhero, she struggles actually with claustrophobia. And if any of you have ever read the comic book or seen the cartoon, those issues are actually depicted in the cartoon. And so growing up, some kids may not even know what claustrophobia is. And so this is a great way of trying to figure out what that means for me and how do I work that out. So different characters actually deal with different traumas and stressors. So then we have the superhero impact. So this is a thing that I was saying earlier that really affected me and how I have come to love these characters. And so in this chapter, we talk about the different ways that the superheroes, reading comic books, being in that world can help you deal with real life challenges. And just as an example, we have coping skills. So one character named Luke Cage, he uses mental and physical strength to face as a coping skill. He'll go out and exercise, he'll work out. Same thing with the character Vixen. So that's their coping skills. So it teaches you some coping skills. And here's an example of that. So I created what's called a coping skill map, because there are different ways that we learn to cope. And there's coping with your mind by thinking, coping physically, like Luke Cage does. He goes out and works out, coping emotionally, or coping using people. And so then with the map, here's an example of what the map looks like. So you put yourself in the middle, and then you say, okay, what ways can I cope with my mind? Okay, I can use positive self-talk. I can use daily affirmations. And what's fun when you do this with your as a parent, doing this with your kid, you guys can come up with some family affirmations. And then body, so either taking a walk or learning how to do deep breathing. So different activities that you can do physically to help you relax and help you with coping skills. With people, calling a friend And of course, I have seeing a therapist. Faith-based people, you may want to talk to your pastor or your minister, but reaching out to people for that support and help, different family members, because I know one of our presenters said that she lives close to 22 members of her family. So reaching out to family members is a good coping skill. And then feelings. So what helps you bring up some feelings or helps you relax those agitated feelings? Well, for me, I listen to music and I have a cat. So I'll sit and, and spend time with my cat as a way to help with those feelings. And so that's just one example. So then the next chapter is our superhero mindset. And so what I did was I took the word superhero and broke it down into different components and characteristics of a superhero. So this chapter will help you work through each of these characteristics and figure out what that looks like for you. And so you get to describe what strength looks like for you, what's unique about yourself, how you persevere, and what that even means. And so we go through each word to develop your superhero mindset. Then this is the fun part when you get to create your own superhero. So I take you through a series of questions about who you are, what you like to do. And so now you've built up some strength. And so now you know how to develop this strength. And so, and that's the steps that we do for this section. And then with that, now you're going to learn how to take those powers and then unleash them. And so again, this is just an example. Set some boundaries, protect your energy, and the worksheets help you with that, help you figure out, well, how am I going to set my boundaries? And what does that even mean? And how do you honor your progress? And just think, everything we do every day, we need to celebrate our progress, no matter how little it is or how grand it is. Just celebrate your successes and progress every single day. And then decide what kind of hero that you want to be and start living that truth every day. And the bonus piece of this course is that I created a worksheet where you use daily to check how you're doing with your progress. And so it's sort of an activity sheet. You can use it every day to help continue to build up your superhero confidence. All right, so now your confidence is unleashed. You are called to act, not just for yourself, but for other people. So this is your family, this is your friends, your community. Confidence is not just a feeling, it's the fuel that powers your purpose. It guides your courage and shows the world that what a real life hero can be. So that's me. That's and my superhero is Firestar, and her motto is healing the hearts and minds of everyone she meets. So that's me. Now, I do have other courses on here that we've put. So the first one is Superhero Confidence. It was the very first one. This one is the free course. Then we have Superhero Confidence Level Up. So this one really explores the stigma. And as I stated, this comes out of my childhood and really understanding the stigma around being Black and seeking out therapy. And so this one really covers a lot of stigma, and it's the Genius Club. And then because I am a Christian, I created this one just really out of a labor of love called Jesus, the Ultimate Superhero. And I'm bragging on myself. I presented it at church and got a standing ovation. Everybody loved it. So I decided that I'll throw it in the Great Discovery and share it with other people because it was just something fun, and it's not very long, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the tables and turn it over to Elizabeth, and she is going to talk about Have You Met You, which is our other component of Exceptionally You Academy that she's designing.
Thank you, Dr. Monica. As always, that was amazing. And just
one more thing.
Oh.
Ascendia! Okay, there you go.
Uh, okay, so I cannot get my computer let me into Zoom, so I cannot read this, and I'm going to let you read it. Well, real quick.
Okay, all right. So, have you met you, otherwise known as HUMU? And we're using a behavioral goal setting model called FQ3C, which is absolutely amazing. That'll help you identify your goals, what might get in the way of your goals, and strategize how you achieve them. I use FQ3C all the time. I use it to finish my book, and I finished it before time. So it really works. But anyway, what our slide here says is when you know who you truly are, peace becomes your presence, not your pursuit. You no longer seek approval. You stand in freedom, live the wisdom, be the best version of you, rise your exceptional self. You want to speak to that, Elizabeth?
Well, yes, and rising as your exceptional self needs to have a basis for understanding what and who that is. And a lot of times, I grew up in a family of 10 people, and we were four blended families. Uh, I went through quite a lot of chaos and dysfunction, and I always wondered why. Well, it's so I could teach this. Now, at this time in this space, the way I can teach this. My whole life, I was just recently invited in to be in an anthology. It's called an apple a day, collective wisdom for your body and soul. And I was told that the reason I was being invited by the publisher into the book is because my life experience of trauma is 5 times or the same as 5 different people who lived a life of severe trauma. And I've gotten to the point where I've said, okay, God, I think I've learned enough for right now. And what it's done is because of my love of being able to be the kid on the playground who helped bring about peace, the kid on the playground who learned how to advocate through my words to be able to help other people use theirs. I was the oldest girl, and I was told that I really never cried. All I ever did was watch and observe people and their behaviors. I started using healing and emotional healing very early on. And as I grew up, life took me into situations where at 13, because of trauma that went on in the family. I was in counseling, and the counselors actually got permission from my mother for me to stay extra 2 hours, and then we didn't have to pay. So I counseled them as well. That's just the way life was given to me. So I understood at early age that God had prepared me for much. Um, the beautiful thing is I've understood now how to use this with the youth a lot. When having, worked with my own family, I actually had a test group because not every child learns the same. Not every child feels the same. And so understanding human behavior and mental health, especially for homeschooling, has been at my heart because there were times that I ended up having to homeschool my children in order to not put them in school so that their father couldn't find us. And that's a whole different story, but it's also a part of getting to the point of the mental health crisis that we face right now. And, looking at it's very interesting because I actually, like I said, have been asked to put my coaching into a format, and I'm putting it in a specific platform called Huddle Up so that the children can actually come in after they've been coached or gone through a process or just have a place to have a socialization with each other where they come in and they aren't even going to know who each other is, so that they can't they can express themselves without anyone needing to know who they specifically are in the school system. And it translates also in any homeschooling situation, because in homeschooling, they can know each other. Because with the parents there being the supervisory piece, bullying and stuff like that is addressed right away. And so the Have You Met You actually gives tools for both the parents and the children. And it just helps families all around. Having worked in the behavioral health department at the hospital where Dr. Monica and I met, I ended up being transferred over to the other side out of the behavioral addiction side for adults, where I worked with the children that were in crisis, all the way from 4 and 5-year-olds who were allowed to be in that setting, in a special safe setting, because they were the children of the doctors and of the hospital, and they needed extra help. And I was always called in for those. And so all this is reflected in to the Have You Met You? And the you is like this. This in and of itself is actually a meditation tool for finding your own frequency and allowing yourself to be filled up with the energy of the infinite intelligence of God. I call it God. And that once it's filled up, you then are shown how to be able to pour that into others and then allow yourself to be refilled up. And there's so much that Have You Met You has. It's a mental health framework that's disguised as self-discovery, I kind of like calling it. And it offers emotional regulation and self-awareness. A lot of times we think we know what our children are doing, and a lot of times our children display a mask because they don't want to hurt their parents' feelings. And we learn that a lot of times. And so it gives a check-in. Now, the FQ3C piece actually is a goal achievement behavioral model, but it actually measures emotions. And it helps the person, as you see the young lady in the mirror, to be able to look at herself and not at the things that you're struggling with as if, you did that again. It's more like, oh, so that's why I'm doing this. And they're excited to come to the parent and say, guess what I just figured out? I just FQ3C'd after my HUMU lesson, and I want to tell you all about it. And then when the parent says, well, you know, how about I give you a little guidance on this and think about this, and they want to come back and they want to take the assessment again after they follow some more steps to be able to tell you the progress they made. And so this actually helps reduce thoughts of bullying. It helps them to normalize the natural feelings they're going to feel. And I was talking about this with forget who earlier in one of the breakout rooms. Like, one of the things I've noticed, young men at the age of 8, and it's been really prevalent, start thinking about death and dying when we turn the light off. And if you've ever experienced that, and I did that with all 5 of my brothers, and they came to my mom, and my mom would say some things, and then they'd come to me and tell me what mom said. And so I got to experience all this, and I put this into the different stages. So I now have it for the youth and adolescents. It's going to be going up into the Great Discovery. And I was already starting to tool out the piece for the youth. I've actually have the professional parent certification from the Glenn Doman School of it's called the Rainbow Series, and it's the Better Baby series for teaching children to have a genius intellect. And it teaches them processes from 0 to 7 years of age where if you're a homeschool parent, you probably know and have looked up the fact that that's when we learn the fastest and can absorb the most and learn all those languages some people have talked about that their children know. And I don't want to go over time, but I do want you to know that the other thing it does is it gets our children out of that achievement crisis that's going on. So many of our youth really, with it, like Tim Taylor and I were saying in one of the breakout rooms, it helps them learn how to learn, which is one of the most beautiful pieces and the difference between regular mainstream school and homeschooling. And so it helps prepare and it helps give you all check-ins for whether or not what you're seeing is really what you're seeing. And it's the ripple effect, it's got clinical invitation, and it emphasizes and helps, what do you call it? Make Dr. Monica's superhero confidence even more usable. Because not every child is going to have superhero. Not every child is going to want Christian at first, we hope. But it also has a secular piece. So, and I guess that's about it for now. I think my time is up.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Elizabeth. And I'm trying to exit out of here. Okay, here we go. All right. Are there any questions or thoughts from anybody?
Yeah, please do. If anyone has any questions or comments, thank you, Dr. Monica. Thank you, Elizabeth. It's so inspiring, and it's a unique way where I saw the relationship, between with what you and Dr. Melanie are doing and kind of using these methodologies to really help kids be able to engage. And that's one of the biggest things. I with one of my girls, we ended up had to take her for she had some phobias and things that she dealt with, and she really had a resistance to really being able to get it. She didn't like it at all. And whereas this is just a way to break through. I love it. I just love it.
Yeah, most children
Anybody
don't
you
really.
can wave your hands up there, or there's Joyce. I Joyce Christie.
Yes, I just want to know how I've got 3 friends who does live classes with teens. How can this information assist them?
Well, definitely with the superhero confidence, it can help them really using the backdrop of these characters. It what what it does is that it helps you see the problems and the trauma without them putting themselves in that situation. So like for example, Storm has claustrophobia. So if a child's experiencing that, they can go, oh, okay, I can see it from over there and not fully place it on themselves. And it makes it a lot easier to deal with some of these subjects. Another character is dealing with a lot of self-esteem. Miles Morales, if any of you know who that is, Spider-Man, Miles Morales. He's dealing with imposter syndrome. So he's trying to, and because of the storyline of his character, he's displaced from his home. So he's experiencing loneliness and detachment from his family. And so it allows children and young people to see themselves in these characters and less directly at themselves, because when you for many people, when you're trying to address what's going on with yourself, you don't want to admit to it, and there's a lot of shame around it. And so when you're using the characters, you can see yourself in these characters. And I figured that out very young because I saw myself in the character of Storm. And when I was a young lady, and not I didn't have the problem of claustrophobia, but she was challenged with being a Black woman, a Black person leading a whole group of different people, and at the same time dealing with discrimination. And that was written in the comic book. And so for me, being in the situation where I was experiencing as a child, I could really relate to that. And so that character helped me kind of get through those experiences that were real life experiences that I was having. And so that's why I feel like using these characters who, and particularly always liked Marvel because Marvel wrote in real life situations. And so being able to see yourself in these characters is a huge help, because it sort of removes the child from the direct experience.
So
Does
they,
that
And then
answer?
well,
they
and
can
then
use.
Joyce, and then the bridge with HUMU is the pieces. When I worked in the behavioral hospital with the youth and adolescents, I had to come up with tools to get them out of the suicide mindset. I had to come up with tools. I was tasked with coming up with tools that would break them out of being treated, being sent home, and coming back. And I had great success using the tools I have.
So they
It
can
helps
use.
them communicate what they're feeling. Her tool helps them identify it. The HUMU helps them identify it, and then it teaches them how to know how to express what they're feeling.
So they can use what you're teaching here to continue on the path because they're in the training for 3 or 4 days. So they can
Yes.
have this
Yes,
at home to continue to
yes,
work with.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
and continue.
This is not a one-day experience. When you go through the course, and I can speak for my course right now, when you go through the course, there stopping points where you have to actually do some writing and introspection and thinking about it. And so that's why it's taking me a little bit of time to do it for the younger children, because I have to write it in a way that they understand it, because right now it's written for, tween young adult age. And so when I get it written for the little ones, it'll really be fun. I think I'm gonna add some more fun activities, but yeah, this isn't something you do in a day. It's stages, and so you do a little bit at a time, and you take your time through this.
And the thing is the difference in your child's presence will in 90 days will be marketably noticeable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's worked with all our clients. And no matter what age and whether they have autism or any of the other isms, it works.
Yeah.
Plus, it reduces thoughts of comparing themselves. It removes them from that.
Mm-hmm. Beverly?
Yeah, I'm glad you just said what you said, Elizabeth, because what I was thinking, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like, it doesn't matter what age, this is like so perfect, especially now when you move into the baby boomer era, where there's a lot of, especially women, who are single now, not by choice, but because of death, and sometimes even going through divorcees. So the whole age bracket, but growing up in that baby boomer era, it was a whole different world back there. And
Mhm.
and so when cartoons come out, they were, it was Donald Duck and crazy things like that. But at the same time, when you look at how you presented this and how you put it together, it's like, how do you find your identity now when it's just you and you're an
Yeah.
empty nester and now you're wanting to become an entrepreneur because of the digital age that we're in? Who am I? And what is my zone of genius? I really feel that, oh, I got chills with that. I really feel what you put together here as a program could be just kind of tweaked a little bit to really impact that era of women that are in that right now. And I know quite a few women who are actually coaches in that avenue, always looking for great tools. And so I think, it would be a great merger with that. And several of them are on TGD right now. So I think that should be prevalent and kind of bring that together. I feel you've got something here that the world needs. End of story.
Well, thank you.
Well,
And let's not forget
Monica,
Wonder Woman came out in the 40s. So baby boomers should know who she is.
Oh, we know who she is.
Exactly. And Superman came out in 1939. So
That's right.
baby boomers should know who she is.
I thought Wonder Woman came out on August 9th, 2025, right here with you two.
Oh, thank you.
and then I'm putting a link so that people can book with me through the FQ3C website. I'm in there as their practitioner and acute behavioral specialist.
All right.
It's amazing, y'all. When you use it, your jaw's gonna drop, and it escalates everything, and it'll get our any child or any person. And I've been through the what do you call it, empty nest. That's the empty nest is actually what caused my very first and only anxiety. What do you call it when you like literally nervous
Anxiety attack?
breakdown? No, anxiety attack, nervous breakdown. It took me to my knees and I caught my breath. I mean, I literally was dropping to my knees. I went, no, not my knees. It's the only thing that got me to snap me out of it. But yes, learning who we are, learning, plus our hormones are dropping, our estrogen level. And so we're starting to realize, shoot, why am I doing everything for everybody else?
Right.
Looks like we have
and
one more question from
We have-
Dr. Herbert Harris and one also from
And then,
two, and then it looks like we'll be wrapping. Okay.
yeah.
Yes, Dr. Monica and Elizabeth, I really enjoyed the presentation. And, you said something very interesting, Dr. Monica, about the current superheroes deal with, like real-time problems and real challenges. So kids can see something different. I grew up in the age of Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. So there was no real identification with the characters in the comics. But this new superhero era is one that I think many children and young people, I mean, there are a lot of older people now who read comic books because they have life lessons, they have information in them. And
Yep.
so it's a very subtle way of teaching. It's like being taught and you don't know you're being taught.
Yeah.
Superhero comic books help me with science, to be honest with you. Because there's a lot of science and a lot of having to learn your planets and your galaxy. And so there's lots of science in comic books. And so for me, reading them as a younger person just really forced me to then go to my encyclopedia, because I'm dating myself, encyclopedia, and have to go look it up. And I had a father who would make me give him reports. So after I would go to the encyclopedia and read something, he would make me give him a report on what I just read and how I can connect it to the comic book that I just read. Yeah, it was rough. But anyway, it was good. So
Thank you. A great job, both of you. Great presentation, great content. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doc. I appreciate it. Good seeing you out here today. And we got one last time for one last question by Sister Sue Weaver. Let's go.
Hey, nobody brought up my personal hero. Here I come to save the day. It means that Mighty Mouse is on the way. And I thought that was Jesus incarnate and we couldn't spend money on comic books, but I was 4.5 when we got our first TV. And so Mighty Mouse was everything I learned about Jesus in mouse form. Yeah. And he would save little Polly Pureheart. Yeah, so I identified with all of those characters, and it went real well with those songs that, according to my notes in my mother's that she kept in my baby book, Santa Claus brought me and my older sister a record player. And so I grew up at 9 months hearing Jesus loves me and Jesus loves all the children of the world. And then my personal favorite when I could sing and train my little 1-year-old sister in my Sunday school class while my older sister was at work and my mother was busy. I mean, my older sister was at school. Jesus wants me for a sunbeam to shine for him each day. And I love then writing the lyrics to Jesus wants me for a moonbeam, but he wants us, you know, we're all rays of hope. And so I just am so grateful, Tim Taylor, and the real Tool Time man, for your dedication of everybody that you pulled together that finally answers my prayer. And we always know, you know, God, we can't tell you the hour of the day it will come true, but it will. So when I dress as Sister Sue, the Tooth Fairy, or the Fairy Godmother, I tell them the limits of my power. And so I'm just so looking forward to adding value and grandmothering you all in. The grandmother clause is a legal term, and now this is recorded, so you're all being grandmothered in, so that you have access to collaboration innovation on our Cosmic Green school bus for lifelong learners, because we need things that are IDEA compliant, not just enforceable by our local school district. We want, because we have such damaged adults that got advanced, they have Swiss cheese knowledge, they don't want to be embarrassed. So when they get to participate with their little preschoolers, they learn it as well. So thank you so much. And my final question was, what's your involvement with the insurance system? Because I want our own cohort for PCORI, Patient-Centered Outcome Research Institute. I believe the Great Discovery is our own cohort of doing holistic wellness and honoring dignity, respect, healing, connecting with the people. So I envision that we have, you know, the school, meet with the school nurse, meet with the counselors, group counseling, play therapy. I created lots of game parodies. And so now today I'm meeting other people that use games. So now me, Lucy, has no splaining to do. So thank you so much.
Lucy has no splaining to do. Love it. Okay, well, Dr. Monica and Elizabeth, do you have anything, any links or anything that you want to put out for everyone? Maybe
One of the things we wanted to offer, and I believe we gave you some links, so it'll be in the, is we want to invite you all to go ahead and come and reach out to us at our email. And our website is being taken down because someone's going to actually redo it tomorrow. So I don't want to tell you to go there because we're putting all this so much more up there. I think the best way for you to get a hold of us would be through exceptionallyua@gmail.com for now. And that just happened last night. So
you just set the phone on the table.
Oh, and Monica, if you want to put that in the chat, exceptionallyua.com, use the Gmail, and we definitely will then email you as a link for Calendly to get a hold of us. And if anyone, Monica, you want to explain your superhero offer?
I don't know if we could do this, Tim, but I was thinking if anyone purchased, if anyone who came here today decided they wanted to purchase the Superhero Unleashed course, that they could get a 10% discount, but I don't know how we would do that. But that was just something it crossed my mind last night, but I don't know how that would be possible. But I'm just going to go ahead and put the link to the free course and the actual course in the chat right now.
That'll be great. And don't worry, everything's possible for superheroes. We'll figure out for you.
And then there's also if sense and essences and emotions are so tied together. There's a Calendly link that we gave you so that people can get with us, and we will put together some oils for you and send them. little samples.
I like oils. That is great. Thank you so much, ladies. That was just, and you know what? Those of you that don't really know Dr. Monica and Elizabeth, you know, when we saw some of their content just last week, and we literally just talked to you yesterday. You know, it's like, okay, let's do this, and and they're going, okay, you know, and you know what? When you talk about providence and a God wink.
Yes.
We had our previous speaker that just now, and an hour ago, had a medical emergency, and so you know it's and she was, and somehow she didn't even appear on the thing, and it's you know, some things they just work out, and I appreciate all of you. Guys, we're going to close out in just with the last session here is a 15-minute session. And before we do that, let's see if we can make sure that you guys are all clear here. I don't know if I can remove you from the, there we go. We'll remove one spotlight and then we'll remove the other one. Bless you, ladies. I appreciate you. Now, before I do that, this session today, I'd love to hear from you. You know, we're going to be sending out surveys to each one of the attendees. This is our pilot session, as most of you know, although most of our team on the Great Discovery are homeschooling veterans or currently homeschoolers. This is our first foray really into the children's market. We're just moving into our phase 3, which is our beginning to get out and reach, and children, and homeschooling is a primary goal of group that we want to empower. We're all over it.